Today on Paint Slinger, we're going to look at the miniatures from Zynvaded by We Have Issues. So let's grab our paints and our brushes and get ready to sling some paint. What we're going to do today is continue on with what we've already done. I'm actually going to just show you a little bit more painting on the black and on the white. Now, I prefer black primer, and the reason is because it helps hide mistakes and places that you may have missed. It makes it just look like shadow. With the white, you can't get away with anything. You have to make sure that every little piece is covered. Otherwise, the white is just going to come blinding through. So if we go to some of the smaller test models that I have kind of done in the background, you can kind of see that I've gone ahead and I've done some of the green color on it. It's a very dark green. We'll probably work that up a little bit. But for now, we're going to go to our black painted miniature, and we're going to show you the differences between the black and the white. So starting with the black primer, and again, I said I like doing the black primer because it helps hide a little bit of mistakes, whereas with the white, everything comes glaring through. So we're going to get out my medium layer brush. Again, that's the brush that I like to use a lot. It just has a nice feel for me. There we go. So again, if we take the big guy here, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually just paint some of the panels green, and the reason is because this particular faction, which is I believe called the Sabums, they've decided that they're going to be green, so green it is. And then I'll switch over to some of the stuff that's on the white, and you can see the difference between white primer and black primer. Now, stuff that's on the white miniature, of course, will not be green because they are the Killam, I believe that's the faction's name, and they've decided that they're going to go with white as their new color. Now, again, I said I've contacted the guys at We Have Issues just to get an idea of what their the new faction colors are. Because apparently everybody started with orange. That was the insectile race's color all over for their miniatures. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually going a little bit further into the story. Because when they first split off, they just quickly painted their helmets either white or green so that you can tell the difference between themselves. Oh, it's a green helmet. Oh, he's on our side. Yay. Oh, it's a white helmet. He's not on our side. Oh, shoot him. You know, kind of thing. I'm using a dark green as my base. What I'm doing here is I'm actually kind of getting things set up so that we can go to the next level, which is going to be a wash, and we'll even do that with the orange, and this will give you a quick shade, a quick darkening of the color, as well as getting it into all the recess spots, and it's gonna just kind of play shades, which is actually really cool. It's a nice fast way to get your stuff ready for the tabletop. So again, this is entirely up to you, but you can choose where or what you want as pieces of armor. If you want, you can even take pieces of armor that have different sections and paint them white. Like if you take a look here on the white guy, you can see here that they have shoulder lines. So what you could do is you could actually make some of the shoulder lines here orange, like the original color, and make some of the lines white. Maybe you can use that to help tell the difference between your regular soldiers and your command soldiers, kind of thing. So maybe what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll do that on this big guy here. On this, actually, it's a, if you can tell, but apparently it's a female bug that we have going on here, and she's quite the big brute. She's got a big weapon on her right here, and we'll show you how to do weapons in black and in white. And then we'll just kind of go on from there. But getting back to how these miniatures are made, it looks like they're cast in a plastic, maybe a resin. Like I said, unfortunately, I did not get these miniatures unassembled, so I can't tell you exactly how they went together, or necessarily what kind of material that they were made of. But they seem to be a good, sturdy miniature. Doesn't look like they're, if you accidentally drop one off the tabletop or something like that, it doesn't look like it's going to shatter, which is nice, because the last thing you want to do is put in X amount of hours on your miniatures to make them look super good, and then drop them, and then boom, there they are in a million pieces on the floor, and you're just like, no, what? Oh man. And then either you're going to have to try and do a quick fix right there in the store or wherever it is that you're playing, or put them off to the side and just say, yeah, that's a casualty now, and I don't have that particular unit on the board anymore, which is not necessarily all that great, especially if you're counting on that unit in the game to hold objectives, or to, I think it was a specialized unit that you were taking for their special abilities, like assault guys, or what have you. So what I've done here, I'm not sure if you can really see it on here. What I've done is I've actually done the two inner stripes here green, and I'm going to mirror it over here green, and I'm going to do orange on the outsides. Just cause, why not? You can do it any way you want to. The great thing about miniature painting is, unless you're following a very specific paint pattern from a particular faction, for whatever game that you play or want to get into, the sky's the limit. Really, you can paint it however you want to paint it. I've seen one army done up as Hello Kitty. I've seen another army done up, and they were kind of pastel colors, and it kind of reminded me of Skittles, the tones of colors that he had going on. So it was really cool. So yeah, don't be afraid to take risks. Don't be afraid to try out a new color range. Don't be afraid to step outside that box of what they show you. No pun intended, but no, what they show you actually on the box. Just because it's painted that way, and you're like, oh, that's a cool paint job. Maybe, sure, go ahead. Not mimic, but replicate that paint scheme. Sure, absolutely. There's nothing saying that you can or can't do that. But if you want to have them say, completely different color, you're like, I don't like this army being this color. I don't like I think they would look cool blue. Make them blue. That's the wonderful, wonderful thing about miniature painting. So you can see what I've done here. Again, I don't know if it shows up, but you can kind of see the wet spots there. Here, see if we can get you in there. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks about your army. Are you happy with the army? Are the army, the color that you that you picked and you're like, yeah, then go for it. So going from that, we're actually going to go over to the white guys now. And the white guys, we're going to show you why white takes a little bit longer. It takes a little bit more dedication to go through. It's a little faster, depending. So what we're going to do here is show you right here. We're kind of do some of the heavy weapons here. And maybe we'll go back and do some orange. You can kind of see, it took me a couple of coats to get the orange, a nice good solid orange right there. But we're gonna go ahead and we're actually gonna go right in here into the heavy weapon. And maybe what you want to do is you want to take that heavy weapon and you want to either paint it straight off silver, or you want to do a black undercoat first. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a black undercoat. Once I actually find, there we go. Wasn't that bad. Sometimes it can be very, very bad. Try and find your paints. Also, make sure that you give your paints a shake anytime that you want to start a new color or get into your paints. That just helps mixes up the paint because they can settle. So again, wet down your brush, work a little bit of paint onto your palette. And then let's have at her. So what we're going to do is we're going to start working, and you don't have to be neat at this stage in the game. Just slap that paint on there. Sling it on there, we like to say. Just sling on that paint. Get it on there just as quick as you can, because you can always go back into later stages and you can tidy your stuff up. It's actually kind of great. So as you can see here, I'm painting the weapon black. And the reason for that is because it's going to help give me a better undercoat when I actually get into the silver. Also, there's parts of the gun that I might want black, and now that they're already black, boom! That piece is already done. So one of the neat things about this particular game is that all of the miniatures that you see here are actually a 1-to-1 scale miniature. And you're like, but James, how can that be? You're like, that's easy. They're an insectoid race that are, in fact, this size. And they thought it would be kind of a easy takeover of our planet. So here they come, ready to take over Earth, and then they realized what they were actually looking at was just a miniature gaming table. But I'm not gonna, spoil all of the backstory for you. That's one of the good reasons to pick up the game, is to read the backstory. The backstory is actually quite interesting. And I've had a lot of fun reading it. And like I said, I don't want to spoil it for everybody. But being a 1-to-1 scale miniatures game, first of all, even though they're still miniature, they are in fact life size, which is cool. But it's also, you don't have to paint oodles and oodles and oodles of terrain to fight around. Being 1-to-1, where they fight, or what they fight around, is actually what they fight around. So, on my painting table here, if they were to fight around it, they'd be using paint cans, or my paint pots for cover. They'd be using my my BB-8 miniature that I have here. They'd be fighting around him, or, you don't have to say, okay, this thing represents something. No. If it's a remote control or a pot of paint or something like that, that's exactly what it is. And I kind of think that's a really neat idea. Saves you a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and in making your battlefield. And the battlefield can really be as large or as small as you want it to be. You can play it on a desktop if you want it, just a regular desktop. So I could play it right here. Now it does, of course, in the rules give you distances for the different weapons, and so you can play on larger battlefields if you want to. So you could play on a coffee table if you wanted to, which is a lot bigger than the desk that I'm currently working on. There you go. You can see now that the weapon is starting to look like a weapon, but you can see parts where I haven't painted. That white is going to glare out at you, right out at you. So you have to make sure that you cover every inch of where you're going to paint, just to make sure that you're getting where you're getting. And there we are. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of time to paint your miniatures. Don't think that you're going to get this done in, or at least for me anyway. I know a lot of people who are a lot faster than I am. They're also a lot they're a lot quicker, they're a lot messier. They just get in there, boom, get her done. I am a little bit more methodical and clean with my painting, and that's okay. Everybody paints at a different pace. Everybody paints in a different style. Everybody just paints differently, and there is nothing wrong with that at all. There you go. And then, so you can see outside we have a nice black weapon, but we turn it around, you can still see that there's a lot of white that we have left to go over. So we're going to leave you here at this moment, and next time we are going to go in and show you some quick ways to get your shades and your highlights in. From now, this is James, host of Sling and Paint.